Hello there guys and welcome back to the channel. Right, so today we're going to be talking about, well, recall masteries because Kabam is changing them, and this time around it's actually kind of nice. Right, and before we get to the actual post, we definitely must also address the state of recall masteries currently in the game, because due to the culmination of circumstances, popularity of recall masteries definitely has fallen. Obviously, forever the biggest obstacle for most people, a majority of people in running recall masteries, was if you play competitive war, your defenders suck, right? And that immediately, obviously, put the emphasis on having to put them on for war, having to take them off, having to put them on, having to take them off, and the system is quite awful. Now, obviously, Kabam is trying to address that right now with the mastery loadouts, which could significantly alleviate the situation and increase the use of recall masteries in other game modes. The other aspect of recall masteries was that it just made questing so much faster and easier, and also specifically the biggest impact for recall masteries was in arenas. You could get a lot more points in shorter amount of time because you were finishing fights that much faster. However, the relevance of arena for many players definitely has fallen as well. Therefore, these changes actually feel like Kabam's trying to bring them back in a meaningful way. And I kind of like that, because I enjoy having them spec'd on, but it's just always been quite messy. One of the biggest upsides to off-season was that I felt like I can put on recall masteries and keep them there. Right. So, forward. My apologies. In the May update, we will be making adjustments to the liquid courage and double-edged masteries when they are applied to the attacker. Our goal is specifically to alleviate some negative aspects of investing in the recall section of masteries while health boost is applied, like the Saga Champion boost. These changes will not affect the functionality of the masteries when they are applied to a defender. This is, I don't know, this is also a double-edged sword, because on one side, I would have loved to see these changes applied on defenders, because then you would potentially be able to run recall masteries on defense in Alliance War or Battlegrounds. Then again, it could make war harder, potentially. And on top of that, it would have like a fairly different impact, I suppose. So old functionality. Increase the attack of all champions by X, but they suffer permanent poison debuff that drains Y of your modified health each second. New functionality. Increase the attack of all champions by X, but they suffer a permanent poison debuff that drains Y of the lesser of modified or base health each second. And this basically means that you can boost and you're still going to be okay. So now you can boost up and you're not going to be losing a ton of health. Debuff damage changed from 0.6 of modified health to 0.6 of the lesser of the modified or base health. That is the change. Double edge, old functionality, increase the attack of X, but you take Y of modified health by bleed debuff over Z seconds. New functionality, increase the attack of champions by X, but again, it's going to be the lesser of modified or base health is lost by bleed. So again, this basically takes out the boost aspect of it. Design philosophy. We always wanted the mastery system to remain one where choice matters. Players should feel like they can customize their loadout to best match their playstyle, their unique roster, and sometimes even specific fight. The choice of investing points in recall mastery section or not is one of the most significant ways to customize a loadout. So we especially want to ensure that it feels the right level of approachable while still having a cost. Historically, the recall tree has felt less approachable when boosts are applied. This comes down to the fact that willpower mastery healing scales on base health, while the self-damage of liquid courage on double-edged scales on modified health. As I increase my health, my healing stays the same, but my damage taken increases. With the amount of the attack and health boost applied to Saga Champions, this interaction has become even more prevalent and reduced the value proposition of running the recall tree when we would like. We are excited about this new scaling change because it should keep balanced state of unboosted recall tree investment, increase the value of boosted recall tree investment to more balanced point. We hope the new scaling allows for greater summoner autonomy, so that do I want to boost and do I want to use recall tree can become two separate questions to consider rather than boosting being something to avoid while running recall mastery. This is a legitimate thing. And note of the glass cannon mastery. This mastery is a rare source of lowering your modified health below your base health, allowing access to actually improve your healing to damage ratio. Again, this is because willpower healing remains the same. We specifically didn't want to adjust Liquid Courage Double Edge to scale only with base health because it would have significantly increased the damage taken by those masteries in unboosted scenarios, meaning daily use of the recall tree would be meaningfully less appealing. Instead, with this adaptive change, the opportunity to lower your health to improve your healing ratio is still there, and the ratio is worsening with boost is capped back at your base health value instead of at 110 and 120% or more of your base health. So this ultimately is a very, very, very good change, and I kind of understand that this will make running glass cannon slightly less advantageous for recall users. Because that was one of the best things that you could do, max out glass cannon when you're running recall, because then you were actually, healing slightly more than without it. But ultimately, I think this is a very, very worthwhile sacrifice and cost to pay for it. And there's not much else to say apart from this is a good thing. I don't think anybody will have any real objections to this. I think there's another debate to be had whether recall masteries, potentially could earn their place back on defense eventually. But if we're inspecting what Kabam is doing right here, my hat off to them. I think there's a good change. I think it makes, again, recall masteries better. I don't think it fundamentally changes anything about them to a point where nobody who used them now would find a reason not to use them after. There's literally no downside to this aside from the glass cannon thing, which I think is relatively negligible. And this will make dealing with challenging content significantly better, because then you will be able to choose between recall masteries or not, and then actually boost your heart's content and not lose a ton of health. And this will open avenues for quite a few champions to run recall masteries in harder content. Like, there is a set of champions whose damage output just goes through the roof with recall masteries, but you couldn't really boost them before, because then you'd lose a ton of health because they don't have immunities or they don't deal with recall masteries too well. The best example here would be like Longshot and Kate Bishop. Like, Longshot's damage goes berserk with recall masteries. Same with Kate Bishop. Kate's Bishop damage with recall masteries is crazy. Neither one of those champions have any abilities whatsoever that mitigate health loss. And it means even unboosted, they're not the most cost-effective to run. But when you boost, they become kind of a nightmare. But both of those champions we frequently use or see in stuff like Necropolis or, some Winter of Woe type of stuff. So this change definitely will make those champions much, much more capable in content where you feel like you need the absolute max out of them. And, ultimately what this is going to do, the end result, all of this long text, all of this long video put aside, there is just one real end conclusion here. What this is going to do, it can save you potions. And that is a good thing. If you run recall masteries ever, for harder content, this is ultimately going to save you potions. Or at the very least, this has the capacity to save you potions. There's no downside. It has a potential upside based on whether you run these masteries or not to save your potions, therefore unit and time. And it might not be the biggest change, obviously. And I would still like Kabam to keep working with masteries. We're getting loadout things. We're getting now this recall mastery change. Obviously, eventually, maybe some new masteries. But I don't think anybody would dispute the fact that mastery system in this game is outdated. It's never really been updated in like last 8 years or so. I think 12.0 was when we had last big change to the masteries, and after that shortly we received a couple of new ones like Deep Wounds and Assassins and so on. But it's been like 8 years since anything happened to masteries, so it just feels nice that there's some action happening. So hey, Good job, Kabam, and very nice. See you soon, guys. Bye-bye. Hello there, guys, and welcome back to the channel. So we have all the information about the